Hello, hello. I know I'm about 2 minutes late, y'all. I was over there trying to peek at the other content creators. Huh? hmm Y'all come on in. We are starting chapter 7 of the Untold Secret, honey. Please like this video as y'all come in. We appreciate you. We are winding on down to chapter 10. Okay. Yeah, we got through it pretty quick, y'all. Pretty quick. Well, I do see 3 people in the chat. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Please like this video as y'all come in. We appreciate you. We are reading The Untold Secret by Douglas E. Hobson. What's up, NYW? Okay, boo. I got you, girl. I'm finna go ahead and get started, honey. All right. Chapter 7, The Struggle Within. Okay. 2 months into my stay in the juvenile detention center, Michael had come every weekend and he had put money in my account so I could enjoy some of the things that I enjoyed on the outside, like candy bars, Little Debbie cakes, Skittles, and my favorite, Starburst. I really appreciated him for all that he was doing, but there was something that I but that there was something that I didn't tell him that I was struggling with. I was struggling with my sexuality and my identity. I was approached by one of the guys and he wanted to be friends. One night I was in my cell and about it and he and about 4 other guys with him dragged me off my bunk and raped me. All 4 of them beat me so bad they broke my jaw ribs and 2 of my fingers. My eye was swollen. I began to think this was payback from God for all the times I was fighting in school, or this was payback for telling on my mother and my uncle. I began to hate God. I didn't want to talk about or hear God. I didn't want to pick up the Bible. My mind was nowhere near God. Oh, excuse me, y'all. If there was a God, why would He allow these things to happen to me? Why would He allow me to begin to feel these things? I was disgusted by my own genitals and I wanted to get rid of them. I had been rejected by my peers. I felt alone. I believed that I wanted to grow up and become the opposite sex. I began to desire to dress like the opposite sex and I began to show habits typical of the opposite sex. I was withdrawing from social interactions and I was always anxious. All this was characterized by my feelings of confusion, shame, guilt, and fear. I was confused over my inability to handle my problems. I felt ashamed over my inability to control what society considered perverse activities. My inability to remember large parts of my childhood started to frustrate me because just a month prior I could remember everything. I had frequent doubts, memory loss, or lost time. I began to have flashbacks of my traumatic events. I was having issues. I was having times of feeling disconnected or detached from my body and thoughts. My hallucinations came back. I tried 4 times to commit suicide and began to cut myself again. Out of nowhere, panic attacks and phobias of things that I was never afraid of before started. God didn't care about me, so what should I care? Why should I care about him? Why should I read some book when he had allowed all this evil stuff to happen to me? I hated God. I hated the sound of gospel music. I refused to believe there was a God. After 3 weeks of being in the infirmary, I returned to my pod. I hadn't seen Michael for 3 weeks. My visiting day for me was finally here. I was excited, but something strange happened. Michael didn't show up, and I was angry. The spirit of abandonment began to seep in again. How could this man who says he loves me betray me like this? He said he loved me. Everyone I tried to trust had done this to me. I was a fool to believe that he was going to be truthful and care about me. I called and called, but he didn't pick up the phone. Did I ruin what he worked so hard for? Did I blow everything? Later on that evening, one of my favorite guards, Mr. Williams, came and got me and took me to Sergeant Mulligan's office. I thought I was in some kind of trouble. That was the only time you went to the sergeant office. Sergeant McGillen told me why Michael did show up today. His mother passed away and he had to go back to Pennsylvania to handle the funeral. In a way, I was happy because I didn't mess up anything, but at the same time, I was sad because Michael had lost his mother. I began to cry, and Officer Williams walked me back to my pod. I could only imagine how Michael was feeling. I wanted to say, I wanted the same thing for my mother. I wanted her to die, but I began to wonder how it would feel if she actually did die. My heart, for a split second, got soft, but I quickly came back to reality. Nope, I didn't care. She was dead to me, and I would never recognize her as a mother. She has she was no mother, and by the standards of motherhood, I wanted her to rot in jail for the rest of her life. I hope someone will rape her like she raped me. I wanted her to feel my pain and feel my shame. I wanted her to feel embarrassed. I wanted her to feel the agony, the depression, anxiety, and the physical pain. I wanted her to feel everything she had put on me, and I couldn't understand why she couldn't. When I saw her in that courtroom, she looked at me as if as if she had no cares in the world, like everything was hunky dory, as if she had done nothing wrong. How is it that she could act like this? A week went by, and it was my visiting day again. I was hoping that Michael would show up, and lo and behold, I heard my name called. I had a visitor, and it was Michael and some strange lady. I was happy to see him, but puzzled about this chick. She was about 6 feet tall and had long black hair and light skin. She looked like she was Puerto Rican, and she had the sexiest smile. Her name was Camellia. Michael told me that they called to tell him what happened when those guys jumped and gang raped me, and that he was sorry he wasn't there. He introduced this lady. This was his fiance, and he wanted my approval. Why was he asking for my approval? I was just a kid living in his house, and a troubled kid at that. So I said she was cool, and that was all. I began to get jealous and angry. Michael and I had started a bond, and I was just beginning to trust him. Now he wanted to bring someone else into my life, and I would have to start my process of trust all over again. I couldn't stand women in general, but Michael wanted her in our lives. Immediately, I began to think to myself, how could I either sabotage their relationship or mine and his? I was not going to let her get close to my heart, especially since she was a woman. All she was going to do was what my mother had done to me, and I didn't ever want to experience that again. Before she hurt me, I was going to hurt her and cause her to leave me. I couldn't sleep. I had insomnia, night terrors, severe headaches, and pain in other parts of my body. What in the world was going on? I was beginning to wonder if I had a spell on me or something, because he visited me, and I got angry and weird things would happen. During my last weeks there, I began going to support groups to help me with my anger and frustration. I was pushed out, no, I was pushed to find out why I was always willing to fight instead of talk, why I was so quick to shut down and isolate myself from others. It was hard to make myself go back to that place called there, that place of hurt, agony, humiliation, and despair. I was held captive. My independence was held captive. My mind was held captive, my soul was held captive. My emotions were held captive, and everything about me had held captive by my was held captive by my mother. Oh, excuse me, my mouth dry, y'all. Wait a minute. Hey, Cheryl Brown. Hey, Melissa. All right. She didn't want to let me go because there was some kind of soul tie there. Every time she had intercourse with me, the soul tie became stronger. Every time she kissed me, the soul tie became stronger. Every time she made me fondle her, the soul tie became stronger. I needed this soul tie to be destroyed. I ain't never heard of a soul tie. I was beginning to understand the root of all these crazy emotions. It was the soul tie. That was the problem. I didn't know how to get rid of it, and did I really want to get rid of it? It had been my safety blanket because at any time when things became too good to be true, I could revert back to the place as a wall to protect me from any hurt, harm, or danger. I was comfortable because I could be Douglas, an angry, violent, disrespectful boy people expected. I could be me. And getting rid of this only meant that I had to go into an unfamiliar place called reality. We as humans are afraid of unknown emotions because we are creatures of habit. When some things become when something becomes uncomfortable, we tend to right back to the place called comfortable. Wait. We tend to run right back to the place called comfortable, a place where we run the risk of killing not only our destiny but the destiny of others who are connected to us. But in that place of unfamiliar, there is a deliverance, safety, healing, mind regulation, and being made whole. God's plans for our life wasn't for us to live in bondage and captivity of others. He came that he came that we have he came that we may have life and life more abundantly, according to St. John 10:10. We allow people to hold us in captivity because we are so comfortable with them, and we are afraid to be independent and become who God has called us to be. The time had come for me to be released. Michael and his fiance were waiting for me in the lobby, and it felt so uncomfortable for this woman to be here and for me to have to sit in the back seat of the truck. Later that night, I talked to Michael and told him how comfortable I was and the other feelings that were coming along. I also expressed to him that I was struggling with my sexuality and I didn't want to be this way. He told me that I had to pray and ask God to remove the feeling. I didn't know how to pray. I was still angry with God, but I knew this feeling wasn't who I was. I began craving sex almost to the point of having a sexual addiction, but at the same time, I wanted to avoid it. I was so confused. I wanted God, but I was angry with God. Being angry or disappointed with God is a troubling subject for many believers, but it is a common one for all. Anger with God is also is an Anger with God is as old as time. It goes all the way back to Cain and the first human family, and even to Abraham, who was angry at God for his parents' readiness to destroy the innocent people of Sodom, along with those who were guilty. So if you have ever responded to suffering and tragedy by raging at God, you are not alone. People get angry at God all the time, even about everyday disappointments. People tend to become angry with God when they see Him as personally responsible for negative events and when they interpret His intentions as being cruel. Some people see God as the untimely one who is responsible when things go wrong. They become angry, thinking He has abandoned them, betrayed, or mistreated them. In in that way, people relate to God much as they do other people. So God may seem treacherous or cruel when bad things happen, just like other individuals might. When we lose faith in God's serenity It is actually because our frail human flesh is grappling with our own frustration and our own lack of control over events. All of us tend to live in such a way that we can positively affect the outcome of situations. We believe that the ones who care on ultimately determine our fate. When good things happen, we generally attribute it to our own efforts. So when good things go bad, we are quickly to blame God and get angry with Him for not preventing it. Deep down, we believe we should be immune to unpleasant circumstances, especially if God loves us. There are manifold references in scriptures of believers bitterly complaining and almost accusing God of unfairness and harshness. But that doesn't mean we have the oh Lord prerogative, honey. I couldn't even read it. That doesn't mean we have the prerogative to include that if Moses, Job, David, and others can do it, then it must be okay for us to get angry with God as well. As Job struggled with his afflictions, he found it impossible not to grumble that God wouldn't let one as righteous as him to suffer so greatly. Eventually, however, God answered him with a stern rebuke. Who is in the darkness counseled by words without knowledge? Job then humbly admitted, I have uttered what I did not understand, things too wonderful for me, which I did not know. Therefore I abhor myself and repent in the dust and ashes. Likewise, I can't say that word, y'all. Habakkuk, the prophet, complained bitterly that God was not being just by allowing wickedness to go unchecked. He demanded an answer from God, and when God gave it to him, Habakkuk said, I heard, and my heart pounded. My lips quivered at the sound. Decay crept into my bones, and I trembled in myself. By considering the scope of the Bible teachings on this subject, we may conclude that it is acceptable to bring all our cares and disappointments to God, including matters that may move us to frustration or anger. However, we cannot conclude that it is okay to go to God in a spirit of complaint or anger against him, for it is never proper to accuse God of wrongdoing. And that is chapter 7. All right, y'all. So I get that he might have fell in love with his the man who adopted him, because he said he was jealous of the girl. He didn't want the woman there and all this stuff, and he wasn't gonna get close to her. But he never did say what the man said about him not wanting to be wanting that woman now. I wonder if they're gonna bring that back up. We gonna see, honey. We already done made it to chapter 8. I recently heard the term soul tie on Alma's channel. It was a new term to me too. Yeah, I never heard of soul tie. I'm not hip to that. What's up, 2300 Jackson Street? How you doing, boo? Please like this video as y'all come in. We appreciate y'all. We are reading The Untold Secret by Douglas E. Hobson. Okay. We have already made it to chapter 8. We will be reading chapter 8 next week. Okay. So chapter 8 is gonna be next week. Yes, that is a lot. You could tell no matter what he did, he didn't trust female. No, NYW. No, honey, his mama broke him, child. Mm-mm. Didn't trust him at all, baby. But yes, y'all, we gonna finish this up. Now we gonna finish it next week. But we will be reading chapter 8 next week. We ain't got but what? 3 more, 8, 9, 10. We ain't got but 3 more chapters. So we gonna get it cracking, see what's going on. I want to see if they, because last time we was wondering about the parents, and it came up a few the grandparents, and it came up a few chapters later. So I guess we gonna see what the reaction of about him not wanting his fiance there. The mama did the worst, Cheryl. Child, she in the pen now, though. I think she in. Well, I don't know if she in the pen right now, but yeah, I think in this book, did they? I don't know, girl. It's been going a lot going on in this motherfucking book, girl. We gonna have to see. I'm not for sure if they. I know they went to court. I don't know if they prolonged. I think they found her guilty already. Mm-hmm. If I'm not mistaken. But yes, y'all, I have every other video you can see the chapters we've been reading. I think he did say she's still in jail. Okay. Okay, Melissa. Yeah, because this is a true story book we read. He was just walking, okay? It's a mess, honey. It's a mess. He grown now. He about in his 30s now, I think. He about our age, 38, 39, something like that. But yes, y'all, I'ma holler at you guys later. I might come back. I plan on come back on here, start some mess, but I don't know. I'm see how I feel. I done calm down now. So I don't know. Y'all know how I get. But if so, y'all please like this video as y'all come in. Y'all will see me on the other channel. And don't y'all forget about the surprise raffle in Tuberty tomorrow. We'll be right back over here tomorrow night. All right? See y'all later. Y'all have a good night.